TCU Football Coach Sonny Dykes with me, David Smoak on 365 Sports, and spring drills and so much going on. Coach, thanks for your time. How do you make sure when you have such success as you had that nobody forgets how you got to that point in the first place?
Yeah, David, thanks for having me. I think you have to realize that, every single team is different. Last year's team, went 12-0 in the regular season and, won a game in the college football playoff and, did accomplish some good things. And this year's team really hadn't done anything. I mean, we've had, we talk about it all the time. We've had 9 good spring practices is about the extent of what we've been able to accomplish with this group. And so I think you have to recognize that. It all begins with us recognizing that as coaches, that whatever success we had last year is gone and over with. And, when those players moved on, the success that team in a lot of ways had moves on. And you got to get refocused back on this year's team and building the team and making sure that, you get all the pieces to fit together and you get these guys to perform as well as they're capable of performing. That's our job as coaches, is to coach them to be the best version of themselves individually and collectively they can be. And so it's every day is a new challenge, and whatever happened last year certainly has no bearing on this year's team.
So how much value would you put in, not financially, we understand that, the money of just all the eyeballs for so long, but how much has it changed, or has it changed when you contact a prospect, transfer high school player? Has that changed when you call them or your coaches call them?
Yeah, I think so. Certainly, playing in a national championship, I think, shows what the program's potential is. I think, in some ways you have to sell kids on the dream before you actually go out and accomplish it. And now I think they realize, and their parents realize, and their coaches realize that, you can play for a national championship here at TCU, and you can, be one of the elite teams in college football. And so I think it helps, it does. Credibility is always something that you're looking for, and you want that as a program where, people take you seriously, people have high expectations. I mean, I think that's what you want. We welcome the high expectations that we created this year, and we see it as a positive. But yeah, the recruiting reception we're getting is different. I think it's a little different when you walk in the room now than it used to be. And the thing that we have to guard against is what I talked about earlier, understanding that, whatever happened in the past has no bearing on what's going to happen in the future.
So how much, or is there now a blueprint on how to not so much rebuild? You're there for a reason. There was a change, and the things had slipped a little bit. I'm saying that, not you. But is there a perfect blueprint now on the combination of high school football prospects and the transfer portal?
I think that's a good question. I think everybody's program is different. And I think a lot of it depends on what kind of players can you recruit, what kind of high school prospects can you bring in. I know we went through the same kind of process at SMU where we were trying to build some credibility in a program that really hadn't had a lot of success in 35 years. They'd had some good moments, but they hadn't really been able to do anything consistently. And, I think that what you have to understand is everybody's in a different situation. At that time for us, the transfer portal was really the only way to go get big name guys and big time players. And we could fill in with some undervalued high school players that, we believed we could develop, and those guys did a great job for us. But, we were able to go out and find a guy like Shane Buechele that really changed our program at SMU. And so I think every school is different. Every situation is different. Here at TCU, we feel like we can, recruit a little bit better high school prospect maybe than we could over there. And I think that you want to build your team with high school players. I really believe every year you want to go try to sign a football team, sign between 22 and 25 prospects and try to sign, every position and get all your bases covered. But, inevitably you're going to have some attrition. Some guys are going to move on. You're going to have some injuries. You're going to miss on a couple of prospects. Guys aren't going to develop like you thought, whatever the case may be. And you have to go and address those issues in the transfer portal. So, running a college football program is a lot like dealing with free agency in some ways in the NFL, just because there are some quick fixes. But at the same time, you can't rely on those quick fixes all the time. Those guys have got to be one-offs and fill-ins.
Chandler Morris, Josh Hoover, your quarterback battle. Is it Chandler's job to win or lose, or is it like right now there is no decision to be made?
Yeah, it's funny. I think what we try to do is evaluate the quarterbacks just like we do everybody else. You want to have continuity at that position. I mean, that's one of the things that I think determines how successful programs are in a lot of ways, just by how much continuity you have at quarterback. And so, Chandler has played. He played the year before we got here, really played well a couple of ball games. Got to play 3 quarters last year, before he got injured, and then came in and filled in well. And he's got a lot of experience. He got a lot of reps last year. He had a chance to improve and get better, and you can see how much he's improved. This spring, he looks like a different quarterback than he did really even in the fall. And so we're really happy with what he's done. But the good thing is, Josh has really done a great job as well. I mean, he's come in, he's competed hard. I think he puts pressure on Chandler every day by the way that he goes out and performs. And so, we always want to have competition, and our job is to always find, play the best quarterback, whoever it is. And I think, again, from an experience standpoint, and a repetition standpoint, we feel really good about where he is. But at the same time, we also love the way Josh is competing, and, we feel good about that position.
Kendall, now your offensive coordinator, Kendall Briles. Mike Spradlin, I believe, was Hoover's head coach at Heath. He's a Briles protege from the time he was on staff at Houston. Does that help a little bit with Josh understanding maybe that offense?
Yeah, I think so for sure. Yeah, I think so. Our offense isn't that much different really than it was in terms of what you ask the quarterback to do. Now, how you get there is a little different, and some little nuances and communication things and all that are different. But, I think his skill set really fits well with what we're trying to do on offense. And really, quite frankly, so does Chandler's. I think they're both probably a little better suited to run this offense maybe than the one we were running in the past. And so I think it's worked out well.
How much does the time that Hoover on the road, I was told he roomed with Max Duggan on the road, how much can that rub off on him, watching kind of how Max went about his business?
I think that's really valuable. I think anytime that you have a chance to see, Max and the ups and downs that he had last year in terms of, losing the job to Chandler in preseason camp and Chandler getting injured and Max kind of stepping in and having the kind of season he had last year. I think everybody really benefited greatly from, watching Max and learning from Max. And as you said, Josh got to spend a lot of time with him in the quarterback room every day, on the practice field every day, in a hotel room when we traveled. And all those things will rub off on him. And Josh is already a really mature guy, really focused. But I think when you have a chance to see that up close and personal, you can't help but benefit from having a chance to watch that and to learn, all the things that Max had to go through last year, the good and the bad and everything else in between. And so I think he probably benefited greatly from that experience.
Sonny, is there much of a difference with what Kendall brings as far as his offense compared to what you had with Garrett Riley and, of course, what you've done for years?
A little different. I think that the one thing that will happen is we'll pare things down once our quarterback gets comfortable with certain concepts, and then we'll add a couple of new things, I think, probably over the summer that, really fit what our guys want to do. And then the key for us is just to get a package that, number one, we're comfortable with and the quarterback's comfortable with, and number two, that we can execute at a really high level, and number three, gets the ball to the best players. And I think that's always the focus, we're trying to do is think players, not plays, and make sure that we're asking our guys to do things that they're capable of doing and not asking them to do things that they can't do. And so we'll sit down at the end of spring and evaluate what we're doing on offense. And I love what we're doing. I think that, Kendall's really smart, really sharp, has a great rapport, not only with the quarterbacks, but with all our players on offense. And I think we'll grow offensively because of that. And I think the good thing is we've got a lot of different ways to get some pretty talented players the ball. And I think these quarterbacks, can do a great job of executing this offense.
Does your defense right now maybe have a little bit of a tick faster, that they may be ahead of the curve with the experience you have coming back and the fact you're trying to install a few new things on offense?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we had a scrimmage on Saturday and felt like the defense was a little bit ahead of where we were offensively. But the good thing that I was excited about was when we came back on Monday, felt like the offense had a great day on Monday. And that's what you want to see, during spring ball. You want to see the offense look really good one day, and then the defense battle back, and then the offense battle back. And you want to see a good back and forth between those guys. And typically when you have that, that's when you normally have a good team. Because, in today's college football world, you've got to be able to play defense, and you've got to be able to score points. And you can't just have one side of the ball if you're going to be successful. And so, it's important to us to have that competition every day, and one side to really – have a lot of success one day and the other side to battle back the next.
Sonny Dykes with us on 365 Sports. Okay, Trevius Hodges, I covered him. I did the games on radio we did for him at Midway. Covered Quentin when he was at Temple. They had great careers at TCU. Avila, the guard, he's going to get drafted. What Max ends up doing will be interesting. How much will that also be a part of TCU because of what you might be in the exposure during the NFL draft?
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see, what happens with Quentin. I think he's a guy that's got tremendous upside. As well as he played for us this year, he's capable of playing a whole lot better and can continue to develop, I think, into a really special NFL wide receiver. So it's going to be fun to see what happens with him. As you said, Steve Avila is going to get drafted, pretty high. I think Kendre Miller, our running back, will get drafted. And then I think we have a lot of guys that, rounds 5, 6, 7 have an opportunity to go and potentially get drafted as well. So, draft day is always a fun day. It's the start of these guys' journeys into pro football. And it's like we say all the time, it doesn't really matter if you get drafted, if you're a first rounder or if you're a free agent. The important thing is you get an opportunity, and now you got to go make the most of that opportunity and make sure that you're prepared to be a pro. And it's a hard thing. The guys have got to do a great job of being in shape and being ready as they go into fall camp or to mini camps, rookie mini camps. And those guys have got to be, prepared, and they've got to be, they got to work hard, and they got to study hard, and they get an opportunity, and now it's up to them to make the most of it. But it should be a fun day for us. And as you said, I think it's like anything. The more players you have to get drafted, well, then again, that just goes to show that you are a credible football program, and you can develop guys, and you can, produce some pros. And I think this year's class ought to be a fun class.
Sonny, the Big 12, it's bigger. It's 14 teams, at least for 1 year. And then, of course, Texas, Oklahoma. Now we know that the official exit. Your thoughts about this season, how unique it might be?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be different. I think it's, I don't know that any other leagues very often have played a season when they realize, okay, this is the last year for 2 of the members. These guys are moving on at the end of the year. And, with the addition of 4 new teams coming in, it's very, very different. It's going to not be the round robin schedule that the Big 12 has had in the past. You're not going to have an opportunity to play everybody. It's going to be more of the scheduled draw in some ways is going to determine or help determine who the conference champion is, which is, never a good thing, I don't think, but it's just the way it has to be when you're dealing with a 14-team conference and then a 12-team conference moving forward. So it does make scheduling really important, and, which teams are you going to play, and where are you going to play those teams, and when are you going to play them? All those things become even more important than they already are. When you're playing for a league championship and you don't play all of the teams in the league.
What's more exciting? My last question, Sonny Dykes, TCU. Preparing for a game, like putting together the game plan, the week of practice prepping, or is there anything to compare on what is actual game day?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm one of those people. I really enjoy practice. Mm-hmm. I love spring ball. What I love about spring football is you get 15 chances to go out there and get better. You're not worried about, an opponent. You're not trying to stop this offense or this defense or, whatever it is. You just really get a chance to focus on fundamentals and getting your team better as opposed, again, to worried about your opponent. And so I enjoy that part of the game. To me, spring football is always a real exciting time of the year. It's a time of the year I look forward to. I enjoy, watching young players start to figure things out and start to make a move and really start to develop and start to play with confidence. And that's always fun. And then you get into the season and, the preparation's a blast, trying to get ready. But then, the most exciting part, obviously, is going out there and watching the guys perform on Saturday and seeing the preparation and the hard work pay off. There's nothing like it. And, that's why we do this, is because we love young people and we love watching them develop, and we love college football Saturdays and the competition and the pageantry and the rivalry and all the things that take place and make it so unique and so special. And so, as much as I like practice, heck, there's nothing like college football in the state of Texas, for sure.
Sonny Dykes, head football coach at TCU, played for the national championship last season, earlier this year, and this is 365 Sports.
1, 2.